All right. Hello. Welcome back to Readers Happy Hour, or in the case of this month, it's, I guess, more like Writers Happy Hour, maybe a little bit of both, because we have Hayley from Pages of Hayley with us today. Do you want to take a second, tell us who you are, where we can find you on the internet?
Yeah, so hello everyone. I'm Hayley. I'm a YouTuber or booktuber. I'm also a writer. You can find me at Pages of Hayley pretty much everywhere, except my TikTok is Hayley Bailey for some reason. I'm happy to be here, happy to talk reading and writing with all of you.
Yes. How is your NaNoWriMo going to to kick it off?
It's going okay. I'm a little bit, well, I was ahead yesterday, but now obviously I'm behind again. I have to like film tonight, so I'm not going to be able to write until like super late. So hopefully that actually goes well, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I always get such a good start on the first
Hmm.
day, and I'm like, this is easy. Why is it stressful? And then immediately I'm like trying to catch up the rest of the month.
Yeah, yeah.
What is your project this year?
My project is a high fantasy book. I've tweeted about it in case anyone wants to check it out. I've talked about it on my Instagram. I feel like way too many times. But it's a high fantasy, which I haven't written high fantasy in what feels like forever because my last few books were like historical fantasy and then contemporary romance. And so this is definitely a change of pace. And I'm noticing that my world building is it's doing something. I don't know if it's doing the right things, but I mean, I'm having fun so far, and I hope that. I mean, I'm like so early on in the process. I really I don't know
Yeah.
how it's gonna end up, but I'm having a good time so far. Well, what about you? What's your project?
I'm kind of going the opposite of you. I usually am a high fantasy gal, but this year it's still like fantasy vibes, but it's I think I'm almost calling it like comedy fantasy because it's
Ooh.
I think I'm calling it like henchman project, but it's like the life of a henchman who kind of just
Hmm.
hates his job, but he like works
Hmm.
for the big villain, you know? It's like
I see.
Kronk energy, but Kronk not being as much of a himbo and a little bit more of like disgruntled middle manager is what we're going for.
I love that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
So far, it's very fun. I just hit par for the day of like 3,300 words like
Hmm.
10 minutes ago. I'm like, okay, I can
Nice.
chill the rest of the day. But yeah,
Nice.
so early at like 3,000 words, I'm like, this is easy. This is fun. And I know like a week from now, I'm going to be so struggling.
No, because I feel like life just catches up so fast. I remember one time I was fighting for my life during, I think it was like my sophomore year of college. Like every day I felt like I was 5,000 words behind. And each time I'd catch up, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to let myself fall behind again. And then I would. I don't even know how I finished on time. I really don't because it was bad. It's really bad.
Have you won every year?
I think for the past few years I have. I think I've won since 2018, but I tried so many times before that when I was in high school and I never was successful. Oh.
I think I've won less than half. Like this is my I think it's my 12th year, like 11th or 12th,
Ooh.
but which like sounds impressive, but I think I've won maybe a third of the time. And not in the last few years. I haven't actually won, so I'm very determined to actually make it happen again. Like I've done it before. We we got to get back to it.
I mean, I think winning at all is very impressive. Like 50,000 words in 30 days is insane.
It
Like
is
whenever I tell
insane.
people that, so like I feel like if you won it all, like you've accomplished something very big.
Totally. What is your process like outside of NaNoWriMo? Like what is your like typical weekly, daily writing life?
I honestly don't really have a writing schedule, and maybe I should, but I don't. I really just write whenever I have time, and that tends to be at night. And I know I say whenever I have time, but I also just like force myself to make time because I know if I ever like
Yeah.
made excuses or whatever, I'd never get anything done. But I do try and write every day when I'm like actively working on a project. I do like self-imposed deadlines, which I know does not work for everyone, but for me, it's really nice to have a goal in mind, because especially if I like finish something before then, or if I finish something by then, I feel really accomplished and I feel like I'm working towards
Yeah.
something. I can't really just be like, I'm writing my book and then not know like when I should be done with it, because then I don't really feel like I'm writing my book. I don't know. I need to have
Yeah.
deadlines. So for me, deadlines are big. And yeah, there's no like schedule. I write at night and I have an outline, so that makes drafting like way easier.
Oh yeah.
But I know it's like different for everyone. So like I'm curious to know what your process is like as well.
I know. I love just talking process. I know that's such
Yeah.
like it's like almost a cliche writer thing, but I just like to talk shop. And I have
Yeah, no, I
such
love it.
few writer friends. Like I have so many book friends,
Hmm.
but way fewer writer friends. So it is fun to like, I don't know. I like talking about the nerdy
Hmm.
process behind the scenes stuff. I am the caveat is I know that I'm a routine person, but I have such a hard time forming the routines. So
Hmm.
it's like a non-starter sometimes. It's like, oh, I just need to write every morning because that's what works. But do I do that? No. So it ends up being like the constant chaos of like, when can I squeeze it in? When can I do it? And I look forward to NaNoWriMo every year because it's like, now I have to. Like that's
Yeah.
the it's like I know that other people now, because I've been doing this for like a decade, that everyone in my life is like, what are you working on? Have you done your words today? How's it going? That it's like
Hmm.
there's the built-in accountability with
Yeah.
NaNoWriMo for me that I don't have during the rest of the year. So it's harder to motivate myself in like such a backwards way. But when I am in a good routine, it's like I'm also such an outline person. I can't do anything without having the most detailed extra outline.
Hmm.
Like that's like the fun for me is like organizing and putting all the pieces in the places. But then
Same.
actually drafting is like blah. Like, can't someone else just write this? I made a beautiful outline. So that's the challenge. Is like you say, like finding the time, making the time. Which
Hmm.
NaNoWriMo always gets me like re-excited about like, oh, I'll just have to make the time because I know people will ask me. So maybe that's the answer is I need to build better accountability partners the other 11 months of the
Hmm.
year.
Yeah, no, I feel definitely accountability partners have like changed everything for me. I feel like the past few years, I've really kind of figured out what works best for me as a writer. And the only thing that
Yeah.
changed is I just found a lot of writing friends, and like we do writing sprints together, we set goals, and that has been amazing just having that accountability. I'm a pretty good accountability partner for myself, but it's definitely best to have like outside people who can actually like be on your ass when you need to get stuff done.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I need people to bully me.
Mhm.
Oh, the funny thing is, in high school, I wrote a lot of fan fiction, and I had this community of other fan fiction writers, and we would all like read each other's fan fictions and like bully each other into writing more. So I was in such a good like routine of writing fan fiction, and it was
Mhm.
because of the community. And now in like non fanfic stuff, I don't have as many friends. Like I have some people that do NaNoWriMo every year, but I don't have
Mhm.
like a year round community that I could go to be like, oh, let's do a sprint. What are you working on?
Mhm.
How's that chapter going? And I feel like that's what I think I'm gonna prioritize this year is like I need to find
Yeah.
those writer buddies.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever need someone, I'm here. I'm very good at keeping people accountable. So I can
Yes, I
help you
need you to
out.
bully me. Yes,
I can do that.
exactly. What like have you always been a writer? Like what got you into thinking like I want to write stories?
I have always been a writer. I don't remember a time when I was not into stories. I actually remember like before I even knew how to write, I would like sit down with my brothers and my mom would like have this notebook, and I would like tell her what to write, and we'd all write a story together. And I still have that notebook. So I have like my first ever stories. It basically is like
Oh my
Snow White
gosh.
fan fiction though, which is really funny. But yeah, no, it's I've just always been interested in telling stories. And I think in like elementary school, I read one of my classmates' stories and I was like, wow, her words are like so detailed, and this feels like something that has already been published. And I just remember being like, I want to write like that. So that day I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna be a writer. And I actually just, since then, I've just been writing, have never stopped. And my voice has definitely changed a lot. I used to write about animals because I was a big Warriors Cats fan.
Oh, yes.
And I'm glad that I no longer do that. I like to think that my books are better, but I mean, I guess it was important for my writing journey. But yeah, no, I've literally always been a writer, and I've always wanted to create stories. I think, especially when I was younger, I didn't know that it was possible to write characters that weren't white because all the books I read had white people. And then my mom read one of my stories and was like, Hayley, why don't you write about people that look like you? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know you could do that.
I could do
It,
that? Oh my God.
no, literally, it changed my life. So then after that, I feel like I
Aw.
got more serious and I realized, maybe this is a problem and maybe I should not contribute to that problem and I could actually help make more representation for people. And so I think I've committed myself to that a bit. And it's been nice.
It's been nice. I love it. What are the major projects that you've done over the last couple of years?
Let's see. I This year I've written 2 books. My biggest project was Harlem Book, which is the book that I queried and that got me my agent. And that's I think it's my favorite book ever because just writing it was so much fun and it didn't feel like work at all. And I just kind of knew from the beginning, I was like, this is going to be the book that I kind of break out into the community with. And it just
Yeah,
happened that agents really liked it. So I got very lucky there. And
that's
then I
awesome.
also wrote another book. It's a young adult. Oh, I didn't even explain what Harlem Book is. Harlem Book is a historical fantasy. It's a historical fantasy that takes place during the Harlem Renaissance. It's sapphic vampires, stuff like that. And
Checks all the boxes,
then,
yes.
yeah. And then I wrote in September, I think, I wrote a young adult contemporary rom-com. I call it Softball Sapphics because it's about 2 rival softball players who fall in love over their last summer of playing together, and that was really fun. I kind of just called it an extended writing exercise because I wasn't serious about that book. I was like, I just want to write something happy for once because everything I write is just so tragic. But
Yes,
it was a
I feel
lot of
that.
fun. Yeah. What about you?
Oh God, there's three. Well, there's been 2 projects, and now I have this nano project that I want to actually be something viable. But the 2 that I've been chipping away at over the years is I don't have a fun name for it. It's really just epic fantasy project, and that is it needs so much work. And also, this is gonna break your heart. It was on my laptop hard drive, and my hard drive just disappeared. It's gone.
Oh
There's
no.
smoke. I know. So I think that's God. I started that maybe my junior year of college. So that's maybe 6 years that I have to rebuild, I think, because
Damn.
I know I think it was all in Scrivener on my laptop, which does not exist anymore. So unless I could find some backups or something, that one I've been procrastinating restarting or trying to resurrect whatever pieces I can find. But that's a big epic fantasy with so much world building. Same that I think oh, I don't know if my Wi-Fi was just giving me a meltdown.
No, I couldn't hear anything. I was like, is it my connection? I don't know what's going on.
No, I think it's probably mine. I'm kind of in the in a country part of California, and we're Wi-Fi is always sketchy. But the point of this, I think I lost that project. Oh, did I drop off again?
Okay, thank you. I think you're back.
Oh, now I'm back? Okay.
Yeah.
I might try and switch onto a different network if it keeps happening, but yeah. So that is a heartbreak. I don't think I have that project. The other one that was like a more recent project from the last couple of years is like it's like a gay pirates, which is very fun. It like
I
takes
love
place in the
that.
golden age of piracy. Yeah, it was like very fun to like work on it and be drafting it and like explore. It's like most of the characters are inspired by real pirates, but just with many liberties and many gay things also happening. So that was a very fun. It just like was fun to work on, and so I want to get back to that one too. But also was very like deep and required a lot of like research for like being in a historical period. And so now this project that I outlined last month is like, it's just funny, it's just vibes, disgruntled henchmen, and we're chilling so far.
I love that. Oh my God. I am obsessed with pirates. Whenever people talk about writing about pirates, I'm like, please, I need you to write this book immediately so I can read it. And especially if they're gay. Like, I love that so much.
That just
I'm
makes
obsessed with
everything
pirates.
better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do need to get back to that one. I started trying to add too much. I was like, what if there's also Greek mythology, and what if there's also fairy tales? And I'm like, whoa. Like we just need to stick to gay pirates. So I think that needs a little bit of workshopping, but it is a fun time.
I love that. I feel like I do that too. I'll be like, but what if there's this and that? Because especially with fantasy, it's like literally anything is possible. And so you kind of find yourself.
It's like too much. Yeah. Yeah. Fantasy is I have a love-hate relationship because the potential like will overwhelm me, but at the same time it's like, what a big sandbox. I could do anything. I could make anything happen.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a double-edged sword for sure. The process of drafting Harlem book and then revising Harlem book and then querying for Harlem book. What was like walk me through the whole process.
Okay. So this book I think was very different than my other books in terms of quality for some reason. I don't know why, but the first draft that I had was actually very clean. And so I think I only did like 1.5 rounds of revisions, and the bulk of my revisions happened during a revision program through We Need Diverse Books, which my mentor sent to me. She was like, you should apply to this. And I was like, oh my God, amazing. And I applied like, I think like 20 minutes before the deadline, did not think I would get in. And then I did.
No way.
Because I actually was planning on querying over the summer. But then I got in and they're like, you actually can't query this book until the end of the program, which is in September. And I was like, okay. So I revised that book. I surprisingly did not have a lot of revisions to make. And I was like matched up with a mentor and she read it. And it was a really great experience. I did like a bunch of workshops and stuff and got to talk to a lot of publishing and industry professionals. And so that was a cool experience. And I think that I learned a lot and really did make my book better. And I actually, at this point, like by the time I had started querying, I had already had my query letter, my query package ready for like a couple months because I was just so ready to go. And my querying experience is very unusual. I only queried for like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, I think. And yeah, I actually had a bunch of agents reach out to me like before my book was even finished being revised. I remember one agent reached out to me like the day I finished my first draft and she was like, I'd love to read this. I was like, okay, I'm not ready yet, but like I'll let you know. And then I had some other agents reach out, and I think all of the agents who reach out to me actually ended up being the agents that offer me representation. And so I started querying, and like 3 days after I sent my first query out, I got an email from the first agent wanting to set up a call. And I was like, and then after the call, I had an offer of rep, and I was like, this is not how querying was supposed to go. I was supposed to be in the trenches for months. I was like panicking. I was like, I don't even know, like, am I ready for this? It was definitely a whirlwind, but it was very exciting. And I'm grateful that I had kind of an unconventional process because I don't think I would have been able to handle being in the trenches for months because I'm impatient. But I'm really happy with the decision I made. I think my agent is like the best person. She's an absolute gem. And I'm excited for where this book can go.
Yeah, it's amazing. Congrats. I love that you're like
Thank
prepared for
you.
the worst and then it just like it just came
Yeah,
together.
yeah. I literally was telling everyone, I was like, guys, I'm gonna be crying. Like querying is gonna be so bad. I was 2 seconds later, I'm like, people like my book apparently. Things are okay.
Wow, it's almost like I wrote a great book or something. It's so amazing. That's
No,
so
like the
exciting.
imposter syndrome is so real though. Like, I'm like, people could tell me what they like about my book, and I'll just be like, no, you're lying. There's no way you actually think that. And they're like, no, Hayley, like I'm not a liar. And I'm like, I think you are.
Yeah, I feel that like whenever I read like friends' projects, I'm like, this is great. You're such a great writer. This is amazing. Like this is art. And they'll read my stuff and say similar. And I'm like, no, no, no. You're just saying that because you don't want to hurt my feelings. It's not actually good. But it's like I wouldn't lie to them. So
Right.
the imposter syndrome is out of control.
Our brains, man, trying to set
Our
us up for
brains,
failure.
truly. Yeah, that's the other fun practice of like drafting or NaNoWriMo especially is like not overthinking, just like
Mhm.
writing the garbage and letting it be absolute trash. And
Yeah.
coming back to it later is the part that I struggle with a lot, especially in a new project, is like, okay, I'm just gonna put the words out there and not overthink them and let it
Mhm.
be garbage and worry about it later.
Yeah, no, I definitely think NaNoWriMo helped me with that mindset that like the first draft is only for you and your eyes and it just needs to
Yep.
exist. It doesn't need to be good. Because like with Nan, you don't have time to go back and rethink things. Otherwise you will
No.
fail. So you just keep
No.
moving, which I love.
Yeah, you just got to do it. Do you have any drafting hacks or any like rituals that you go over?
Oh my gosh, honestly, I don't think so. I just love drafting so much. I love that like first drafts because like they can be as messy as whatever and like there really are no rules. And I trust whatever I'm doing because I have my outline and I know that the story is going in an okay-ish direction because my outline didn't show any issues. But I don't think I have any hacks besides outlining excessively, which I know some people like they physically cannot follow an outline, like they just can't do it. It kills the drafting process for them. So I get that. But I think actually, oh, a hack I have, which I don't even know if this is a hack, but writing a query letter before you draft, or maybe even before you outline, because I think the query letter really gets to the heart of the story you're trying to tell, which I think you should
Oh,
know before you
okay,
start writing, because at least
for
that's what I
sure.
did before Harlem Book. And that was like the best writing experience I've ever had. Like it changed everything for me. And so I think that that's really helpful. And then there are two craft books I really love. What are they called? I don't remember the author of this one, but Write Your Novel from the Middle. Love that book so much.
Okay.
And then also John Truby, I think that's his name. He wrote Anatomy of Story. I also really love that one. But yeah, my main advice is to do the query letter and the pitch and then start writing your story.
That is fun advice. That's like, so you wrote the query for Harlem Book before you drafted it.
Hmm.
That's crazy. It's
Yeah.
like you manifested it. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, granted, my query letter did look very different when I actually was like getting ready to query, but I mean, it did really, really help. And I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
people also like on writer Twitter say that having a query beforehand helps because sometimes you like get a story idea, but then you don't realize that it's like not an actual story until you're like halfway through. And it's like, writing a query might have helped save that problem. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like a fun idea that falls apart. Totally. Been
mhm.
there. Yeah. I think
Are
my
you
only like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna go back to querying and ask you if you're thinking about querying any of your projects soon.
I think I would, and like I don't have anything that's ready. I mean, like the epic fantasy one would have been close, but that's gonna need some resurrection and some magic to have her come back to life, probably. I think that Gay Pirates has legs. It just need
Mhm.
to finish the manuscript.
Mhm.
Um, and we'll see where Henchman takes me. Like I'm not putting the pressure on myself. I kind of just want it to be like a fun NaNoWriMo project, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Talk to me in 30 days. But I think of anything, Gay Pirates would be the one to like go hard and try and query for.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. I hope that you query Gay Pirates and then it gets picked up immediately so that I can read it.
That would be very fun. It is like silly. There are characters in that book that I'm like, how do you have a better sense of humor than me? How is this possible? Like, where are your jokes coming from? Because I'm not making them. Like, you're funnier than me. It doesn't make sense. So it is like a fun one to work on because I'm like, I don't know where these people came from, but
Mhm.
I'll just channel them. That's fine.
Yeah,
It's
no,
a
that's
fun
how it is with
process.
me. That's how it is with me writing smart characters, constantly getting them into situations. And I'm like, I don't know how you guys are going to get out of this. I'm not smart. So you'll figure it out.
Yeah,
And I don't
yeah. I hope
know
you
how it
figure it
works for you
out.
guys. No, for real.
Definitely. Definitely. That is wild. I think the only thing that I really do during the NaNoWriMo if I'm like struggling is I just turn all the text to white so I can't see anything. Uh,
Oh.
and I'll just fix it later and you just ignore whatever squiggles pop up because you know it's just weird typos. But that helps me a lot to just not see like it looks like I'm staring at a blank page, which is almost like weirdly freeing to not see anything that will especially when you're like I just need to write garbage and get through 300 words of trash before I figure out what the scene is doing. Turning it white is my number one tool.
Mhm. I love that. I feel like I've heard that one before, as well as starting a new document every time you like start a new writing session so that you can't see what you've written
Oh,
before, which in theory sounds great, but I just know I would get very disorganized very quickly.
that's exactly where my brain went. I'm like I cannot imagine having all of those.
No.
Wow. That is funny. What do you have like outlining techniques? Like, what does your outline look like? Are you a spreadsheet person or a Google Docs person?
Oh, a spreadsheet. See, someone once told me about like using a spreadsheet for outlining and plotting, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds like a dream because I'm a nerd and like I love spreadsheets. But I was like, I can't make this work for myself. So I just use Google Docs and I just do chapter by chapter. I add in everything from like little dialogues to dialogue tags, descriptions that I think of at the time. And it my outlines are so long. They're honestly basically like zero drafts. I think I'm getting a bit better at not making them too long, but they're very detailed because I like to know exactly what I need to write. And I mean, I don't like restrict myself to the outline because I know some people will be like, I feel like if you have an outline, it takes away the creative freedom of when you're drafting. But for me, I just remind myself that when I'm drafting and I look at my outline, if something doesn't feel right in the moment, I just won't follow the outline. I'll do something else. And I always tell myself that I don't need to be exactly accurate to my outline. And I
Yeah.
still have a fun time. It's still great for me, but I cannot exist without an outline.
No, me either. I used to think I was a pantser or whatever the first couple of years of my NaNoWriMo journey, and that fell
Mhm.
apart so fast. It just was not sustainable, and it was because I just didn't have the discipline to like worry about making or planning an outline.
Mhm.
And then once I stopped being a princess about it and started making outlines, it was like, wow, like this is so much better. What have I been doing? And I
Yeah.
never looked back, but I know that some people like feel restricted by it, but that is, I could not imagine just having no guidance that way. Never again.
No, I can't either because in my head, I'm like, how do you know that? First of all, how do you know how your book is going to end? Second of all, how do you know when to stop? How do you know, like, when anything is going to happen? How do you know there are no plot holes? Because at least with an outline, you can, like, see everything laid out before you and know that your story is going to work. But I'll see people that are like yeah, I just write by the seat of my pants and whatever happens, happens. And I'm like, how on earth do you have a final draft that makes sense? I don't get it. It doesn't compute in my brain.
Am I back?
Yeah. So I was like, what happened?
Oh, my internet is really having a tantrum today. It's like, you should be writing. Like, turn this into airplane mode. Oh man. You were saying how like some people write by the seat of their pants, and that could not be you.
Yeah, no, because I'm like, how do you know like where your book is gonna go, and if you like, how can you guarantee you won't have any plot holes? Like that
Yeah.
stress would just keep me from writing.
No. Yeah, because like trying to go like just like read a raw vanilla draft and try to find the plot. No thanks.
I think we're back. I'm kind of surprised. I was having Wi-Fi issues today, and I was nervous that
I know.
it would affect the stream.
I think I'm gonna give me 1 second. I'm gonna switch networks and see if that helps.
Okay.
I'll not to just leave you here, but you know, it's your party.
It's chill. Oh, this is crazy. I can see all the comments, but I can't click on them. It's just me now. No, the internet is not letting us be great today. It's really unfortunate.
Okay, let's.
Dang, everyone's Wi-Fi has been crazy. Hello.
Hello, hello. I know it's really just being a pain in my ass today, but sometimes that's the way it is. Mo's here. Hello, Mo.
Hello.
Oh yes. Do you have any timeline? Did you already talk about this?
No, it's funny because a lot of people ask me for a timeline for the publishing of my books. I'm like, I have no idea. Like traditional publishing is very slow. I do have a title for Harlem book. I just am not sharing it because reasons. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that when I get published, because fingers crossed I do actually get published, I think that they're probably going to want to change the title, but I love the title so much. I think it's perfect, but they're probably going to want to change it. But one day you guys will know.
No, I'll be eager to see if they have you change it or if you get to keep, you know, the title that you want. But I know that that's like a whole thing, that titles,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have control.
Titles, covers. Oh my God, I fear getting an ugly cover so much. Because, like, imagine doing all that work and then your book is hideous.
Oh,
it's bad.
No, I feel like I'd never write again. I'd be like, no, I'm good. I'm good, actually. That's it. Ugly cover, I'm good. I hope you get to keep the cover or the title. I know.
Me too.
Do you have any like concept art of what you would want it to look like, or you're just fully placing that in someone else's hands?
It's interesting that you say that because just a couple weeks ago, I like made a folder for some concepts that I think would be cool for my cover. But I mean, I really don't know because I guess like the main things are I would love for my cover to have like dark purple or like red and black because I feel like that's kind of like the vibe of my book. But then there's also like I think it's cool when I don't know, I'm so picky when it comes to book covers. So one of my favorite covers ever is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gone. So I feel like it'd be so cool if my book
Yes.
looked like that, but obviously with like items on the cover that are like from my books. Like for instance, some I guess relevant thing in my book is like a lotus flower. And then it's like a very bloody book, so there could be blood on it. But then I was thinking about that and I was like, that just looks like a Twilight cover. Or like the cover of Crave. So I was like, I don't know if I want that because I don't
Yes.
want to be like trapped in that vampire thing. But yeah, I don't know. I hope that I get somewhat of a say, but I might not. I probably won't.
It just depends. It's like that feels like such a gamble. Like how I don't know. It is just kind of putting faith in the process, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it kind of
The
stresses me out because I
struggle.
feel like so many publishers are like old white men. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know what is selling? Like, I understand you
Right.
know the industry, but I feel like you need to talk to the people who are like buying the books because there are so many people who will see a cover and be like, why would you ever make a book with this cover? It's the most hideous thing I've ever seen. No one wants to buy that. And it feels like they're trying to sabotage their books. I'm like, there's no way you guys genuinely thought this was a good cover. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. They need some more consulting sometimes.
Right. Yeah. There has to be there has to be a better way. Let's see. What are you reading right now? Like what do you read and write? Like do you read to be inspired? Do you read to like escape? What's the energy?
I mean, I do. It's funny. I was going to ask you a similar question, but I mean, currently, I don't even know. I guess I'm technically reading Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez because I was like, I just need something quick and fun. But I also think I might be in a reading slump because I also tried reading two other books. So I'm technically reading three books right now, and two of them are high fantasy. So I don't know what I'm doing. I have not been prioritizing reading recently because I've just been so busy. But it's weird because I really want to read and I have so many books that I want to get to so badly. I just like the motivation to actually pick them up is not there. So I want to know like what
Yeah.
like anything good that you've read recently because I need to get out of this slump.
Good things I've read recently. I mean, the Greenbone saga like single-handedly made me fall in with fantasy. I read that over the summer. Um, and then I was just talking to someone today about Legends and Lattes. That's kind of the like chill, cozy fantasy vibe that I'm also trying to channel. What else did I read? I read Frankenstein a couple weeks ago. That blew
Ooh.
my mind.
I saw
Best
that on
classic I've ever read.
Instagram. Made me want to read it.
Yeah, I mean, I never read it before, and now it's like the best old book from 200 years ago that I've read. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like a very nice surprise. But not that I'll be writing like a Frankenstein spin-off or anything, but it's just nice to be like, wow, people have been doing this really well for a long time. It's like
Yeah.
you read a book that was clearly like so well done, and that makes you want to write. Oh, and a silly one that I read recently was what's it called? The Gentle Women Secret Society of Gentle Women Witches. It's like one of
Never heard of
those.
that.
It's like a cozy, witchy romance book, but it was like you could tell that it was fun to write. Like I didn't even like love the book that much, but it was so fun to read because you could tell it was fun to write, and that was like a really fun thing to pick up on.
I love that. Yeah, I've read Jade City, and I don't know why I just never finished the series, but I really need to. And like so many of my friends have been reading it recently, and so like it's really making me want to pick it back up. And then I've also been super into classics, and I've been eyeing Frankenstein for a while. So when I saw you posting about it, I was like, maybe this is a sign. I should finally read it.
So good. It's so good. People are sleeping on Frankenstein. Oh, maybe not. I mean, it's a classic for a reason, right? Like, I'm not the first one to be like, we should be talking about Frankenstein, but it is like the top of my brain right now. But the rest of the Greenbone saga, you will not regret. You will be in pain. You will be in pain, but you will not regret it.
I love pain. If a book makes me cry, it's probably going to be a new favorite book.
Yes. And you and I have talked about the death trope, best trope, and resurrection trope, worst trope.
Yes.
And that's something that I look for in fantasy too. Is like I want authors to just have the balls to just kill their characters and commit to it. So that's a fantasy that I am always excited about. Is like, I think that tells me something about the author that's willing to build this character, write thousands and thousands of words about this character, and then just say, "You're done. It's over."
No, I mean, I'm just like so sick and tired of fantasy authors telling me that things are dangerous and then they aren't because no one dies. And I have trust issues. I'm like, I don't believe you anymore. There are very few authors who I can actually trust that will kill their characters and cause emotional turmoil for their readers. And those are my favorite authors. Like Sabaa Tahir, I can always trust that she is going to tear shit up. Like always.
Yes.
She's fantastic. I strive to be like her, and I wish more authors were like her. But yeah, no, she will go in.
Yeah, Sabaa Tahir is the idol. She is the blueprint. Have you read her newest contemporary? I own it. I just still haven't read it.
Yeah, I read it. I got an ARC and I read it a couple months before it came out, and I just remember thinking, this is one of my new favorite books. I read it in one sitting. I was obsessed. I was like, Sabaa Tahir has done it again. And like literally everything she writes is a banger. But now I'm mad because now I don't have any new books of hers to read, and it might be a while before the next one. But I'm so excited because she keeps sharing little sneak peeks of her next book, and I think it's fantasy.
Yes.
Which
I know I'm losing my mind. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I know. I'm gonna be like the whole meme of like, this is my Joker. Like whatever her new fantasy book is, that will be my Joker. I'm already obsessed.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I love her, and I love all the memes that she posts. She's like one of my favorite author, like online authors. I think there's a couple that I just think are so fun to witness and follow their process. Do you have any other authors that you like particularly love to follow?
I honestly don't follow that many authors, but Sabaa Tahir is definitely my favorite. And yeah, because all the other, I don't know, I'm kind of like iffy on authors like being in fandom spaces. So I don't really follow that many authors. But it's funny because like I went to Y'all West this year, and I don't know how to pronounce her name, but the author of the Raven Cycle, Maggie Stiefvater, she was there. And she was so funny. And it's so funny because like so many people on Twitter like have beef with her because like she's done so many controversial things. Yeah. Yet I was watching her and I was like, I'm having the time of my life just listening to her talk. Like I didn't even really like her books, but she was so entertaining. And so, yeah, but I don't think she's on social
Huh.
media because people like harassed her because she's done a lot of questionable things. But yeah, I don't follow very many authors.
Gotcha.
Just Saba to hear.
Yeah, I don't know who. I recently started following Alison Cochran, and she's a sweetie pie. I love her. And then, oh, you know who's fun is the author of Iron Widow, which I still haven't even read. Zaranje
Yeah,
Zhao is their name.
yeah, yeah.
Their Instagram is a hoot. I'm obsessed with everything they put out.
They are great. They have an entire Twitter account just like in French. And I remember just finding it and be like, this is so random, but it feels so on brand for them. But yeah, they're great. I've heard
It
so
does.
many things about Iron Widow. I really need to read it, but it's just been sitting on my shelf for so long.
I know. It's been on the list, and the cover and title was just announced for the next book, and
Yes.
I'm like, oh no, I'm falling
It's,
behind. It's stunning, beautiful, gorgeous. I need
yeah.
to read it.
Oh my God, I just found out that they are at the same agency that I'm at. I like went to the
No way.
homepage and I was like, oh my God, Iron Widow. I didn't realize that they're represented by Bookends.
That is
That's so
wild. It's
exciting.
like publishing is such a small world. I
Yeah.
always forget that it is like a smaller, not that it's a small industry, but like everyone knows everyone, I feel.
hmm No, for real. A bunch of agents are just like, I have connections here and here and here. And I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, you just know everyone, which honestly, like, that makes sense. Because especially if you're trying to get your book, like, to be successful, word of mouth is very important. But then also them, like, trying to find film and TV agents. And, like, my agent's like, I have getting off topic, but I agree. They have a lot of connections.
Yeah, and then I know that's a controversial thing too, is like expecting authors to already have a platform to promote their
hmm
own book is like a whole like separate conversation, which is like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. And like everyone is online, but is that the author's job to promote their own book? Or it's like so messy.
No, I could talk about this for hours because there's so much that goes into it. And I think, especially now, like post COVID, especially with TikTok being such a huge marketing platform, and now with social
Yes.
media and like people making jobs out of that, publishers are definitely expecting authors to put in a lot of the work. But I think what they don't realize is that marketing is one job in itself, and then so is like being an author. And it's like so unfair to expect them to do everything. And I'm like, the reason why people go to publishers to be traditionally published is because they expect that publisher to help distribute their book and get it out there in the world.
Yes.
And so for the publishers to be like, nope, it's on you, like you have to do all the marketing and publicity, it's so ridiculous. Seeing like more and more people who I guess are like getting rejected and publishers being like, no, we're looking for people with bigger platforms now. And I'm like, then you're only going to be catering to a very small audience and your books are
Yep.
just going to be less and less diverse. And it is so ridiculous. I hate it so much. I've even seen people talking about like certain authors, like whether or not they're attractive enough. And I'm like, why does that matter? Like, people are just here to
Whoa.
read the books. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
That is
I
wild.
actually had a talk with one of the agents while I was querying, and she was like, I would totally make sure because like I know you have like a bit of a following online, but I would make sure that the publishers like don't exploit that and don't expect you to do all of the marketing work and like they still have more of the lift. And I was like, oh my God, I never even thought about that. I just assumed I'm like, I'm gonna have to do all of the work. But the fact that she was like, no, I got your back, like we're not gonna
Nice.
make you like do everything. I was like, that is a very important thing to consider because I know there are authors out there who don't like to be out just on social media, like writing.
Yeah.
Most people I feel like don't know the person behind the book. And so it's weird that publishers now are expecting authors to be so available online. And I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah. I do have very, it's like same. I could talk about this all day. It's like expecting like demanding to know the identities of authors, demanding to know their sexualities is like all there's like so many cans of worms that we're now
Yeah.
demanding of writers and authors that I don't think it's sustainable. But especially, I mean, like, and also, you know, having them market the book yourself. You're already online. You have to share the book, word of mouth. And then if you want to if you want to publish another book, you know, and all of that comes off of how much the first book sells, it's like a downward spiral. It's like I could easily see how it becomes this like big stressful thing.
Yeah.
My dog just spooked herself for no reason. What are you? She's like scared of her own shadow sometimes. Everything's fine. Oh my gosh. You're on Book Talk. What are your thoughts on Book Talk as a whole?
I think that it is a very interesting place. I am so glad that it has exploded and gotten more people to read and to pick up books and enjoy reading. But at the same time, I kind of don't like the direction that it's pushing publishing into, because I recently saw a book deal announcement that was like, the publishers intend to make this the next Book Talk sensation. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, I feel like you don't want to have your book be synonymous with like a Book Talk sensation, because majority of those books are known to be like not that good. And especially now with like the way we see people marketing books on Book Talk, I feel like, I don't know, everyone's talking about like the tropification that Book Talk is doing, and now people are like just trying to write stories that they feel like are easy to market on Book Talk because of the certain tropes they have, and no one's really thinking about the actual story and the quality now. And I guess it might be true for some people, but I will say I do think that Book Talk is creating something that is not the best for the industry. But it's also really nice, I know, for like self-published authors, because it is a great platform to get your work and your business out there. So like,
for sure,
I don't know, positives and negatives, I guess.
Yeah, I know that there's, I don't know, I like am a viewer of Book Talk. I'm not really a poster on Book Talk, but there's beef within the different platforms, and I don't know if it's like, oh, Book Talk gets more views than us, or if it's Book Talk recommends books that we recommended years ago. Like, it's hard for me to like parse through the drama, but I am a nosy bitch, so, and I love the drama. It's like I just don't know how to feel, because like you say, it's so great for indie authors, it's so great for getting people into reading, and I love that people are finding the community. But I hate going into Barnes and Noble and seeing the Book Talk stickers and a table of Colleen Hoover, and I just I don't know, I have mixed feelings.
It's so weird. Like, also just thinking about how some people perceive certain authors versus others. Like, I know everyone loves Colleen Hoover on TikTok, and she's done a lot of very questionable things. She's put questionable things into her books. And then some people like make fun of like Chloe Gong and Alex Astor. And I'm like, well, what exactly are they doing that's so different than Colleen Hoover? Yet everyone loves Colleen Hoover. And I don't know, it's weird, because it's like, yeah, it's nice that like if you build a big platform, you could have potentially a lot of people who are going to buy your books, but then also you make one tiny wrong move and everyone's just going to hate you forever, even like the stupidest thing. And I don't know, it's just so unpredictable, I feel like.
It is. It kind of scares me. I'm a little bit of a chicken about Book Talk. I'm like, I just don't know. I don't trust it. But yeah, it's fun to watch from the comfort of not posting, I guess.
Yeah,
it was a fun place.
It's happening.
Oh, here's a
too.
Yeah, I heard that you have to have your own platform before any label will sign you. He's like, well, what do you think I'm trying to sign with the label for?
I hate that so much. Like, there are so many accessibility issues there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right.
I also hate like seeing people say this song sounds like it was made for TikTok. I'm like, what does that mean?
What
Is
does
this our
that
future
mean?
now?
I know. Well, it's like I don't know. Like I don't know if I could talk about like TikTok and Gen Z all day long also. But to me, I feel like we're watching this like generational divide that's always been around, but now that the internet is a thing, it's just a very in our face divide in the moment that it's happening. And millennials and older generations are like, oh, TikTok, like everything's going to shit, even though like we went through this. We went through this with Instagram. We
Yeah.
went through this with Facebook. We went through this with email. Like it's nothing new. It's just that now I think it's so visual and so globalized that now all these other industries are swept up in it too, and we're just seeing it change so rapidly. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah. I always am thinking about like what the future is going to be like. And my mind always goes to a Black Mirror type situation because I catastrophize everything.
I know. I
But
do that
I
too.
don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what? It's like it goes to Black Mirror or it goes to like Utopia. My brain knows no other solutions. Or it's like dystopia. We leave Earth, we go to Mars. I'm
Oh
just
God.
read too much sci-fi. Oh, what if you could? This is a fun, weird question. Fuck, marry, kill, Bookstagram, Book Talk, BookTube.
Oh God. I honestly think I would kill Bookstagram because I don't spend that much time there and the algorithm is terrible. And
Yeah,
I feel like Instagram is already dying, kind of.
I
What was
kind
the
of
other
feel that
one?
way
BookTube?
too. BookTube, Book Talk.
BookTube or Book Talk? God, I don't know. I've been doing Book Talk or BookTube for so long. I feel like I have to marry it. But then I feel like the future is really going towards Book Talk.
Right.
I think I would marry BookTube just because I feel like there's a bit more stability there. There's a bit more longevity. Book Talk is great, but in a sense, I feel like it's not as serious. Doesn't have the potential to be as serious as BookTube. So yeah, I will fuck Book Talk.
Love it. A good time, but not a long time with Book Talk.
Yeah. What about you?
It cracks me up. As soon as I asked you, I'm like, I don't even know what I would say. But I feel you on Bookstagram, even though it breaks my heart because I love watching everyone's stories, but I hardly engage with anyone's posts. I don't even think I've posted in like months, but I'm still on the app every day. So I have mixed thoughts about Bookstagram, but I think like if Instagram disappeared tomorrow, I could live with that. So I think I could also kill. I think I'd either kill Bookstagram or fuck Bookstagram for one last hurrah, and then be like done with it.
Yeah.
And BookTube, I think I think I have to marry BookTube unless I really wanted to commit and shackle myself to Book Talk, which I don't think would be a bad thing. I just have to really make my peace with it. But in a lot of ways, I am just kind of a disgruntled millennial about Book Talk, and I need to just stop being a baby about it. And that would be one way to get that done. If I said Book Talk, let's get married, let's do this thing. So I don't know, maybe my answer will change, but I think I guess we're the same on that. I think I would marry BookTube right now. But yeah. There's so many things. I'm not even on Book Twitter. I've debated that a lot too, because I know there's such a good like writing community also on Twitter, but I know it's like one more app for me to spend my time. I don't know if I need that.
Yeah, no, I honestly like Twitter is the most toxic place in the world, but I love it as much as I hate it. Like I have so many friends there and I found so much community there. I literally found my agent and like had all my querying success I feel like come through Twitter. So like I feel like I owe Twitter. But at the same time, sometimes I open the app and I'm just like, I can't do this today because the things that people say on there, the things that people fight about, I'm like, you guys, it's really not that deep. And there's just so much terrible shit going on. But then I don't know, I feel like there are also good things. And I've gotten to a point where I can kind of curate my feed a bit. And I know that if I see something that's pissing me off, just close the app and leave before it ruins my day.
Yes, that is the healthy answer, I think. Just don't let it ruin your day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Songs are being written to have that catchy moment. There are some songs where I do feel that way, like this you're telling me you didn't write this song, hoping it become like a sound, a trend on TikTok. But sometimes I think music has always been written that way to have catchy moments, and now it's just becoming a thing on
Yeah.
TikTok. So I go back and forth too. Incredible videos. I do love TikTok because of this. I think it is just like the great culmination of the internet with just the memification, if you will. I'm obsessed
Yes.
with the formula that people like have of humor and like sharing information that comes through TikTok. I think it's the platform I think is genius, and the
Yes.
communities that it's made is genius.
I
But
definitely agree.
also, who made this video? Someone, I'm gonna think of it as soon as we end the live. Some booktuber made a video recently about like the drama of book talk and how everything seems to be so overblown of these like reaction videos and like this book ruined my life, this book made me cry, I just finished this, but it's like very dramatized, and how that kind of can skew expectations or increase like the whole tropification thing. And I find that very interesting too, because then you go to read the book, you know, out of FOMO or seeing it everywhere or seeing all these reactions, and you're like, am I reading the same book? Like what's happening? So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if book talk has really found its perfect formula yet, but it's doing something. Like the sales from book talk are outrageous. It's
Oh my
pretty
gosh.
wild.
Insane. Colleen Hoover's impact, and I know she was popular before Book Talk, but Book Talk has only like increased it. And it is so insane seeing the sales coming from Book Talk. It just blows my mind. Every time I walk into the airport, I always see someone with a Colleen Hoover book. And I'm always like, damn, it is weird to me when I see people on TikTok who are not on Book Talk talking about books. And it's always either A Court of Thorns and Roses or
Mm-hmm.
It Ends With Us. And it is so weird. I'm like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, my two worlds are like colliding. Ugh, so bizarre.
Yes. My mom just texted me a couple hours ago and said she's not on book talk, but she listens to audiobooks,
Hmm.
mostly like books that I recommend, but she sometimes will go out and either hear about something or read something that I didn't recommend her. And she texted me and said, she just finished this great book. It's called It Ends With Us, and she thinks I'd really like it. And I'm like, that is the most precious thing you've ever said. I don't know that I would like it, Mom, but that's cute that you think so. But it's like she doesn't know that it's like the most best-selling author in the world, and that's
Hmm.
like the most popular book ever. And yet it came up on her radar. It's like, Mom, where did you
Yeah.
find It Ends With Us? You know, it's just like the endless reach of Colleen Hoover right now from book talk, I think, is even larger than we know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's insane.
I know. I really had a good cackle when I got that text. She's like, "This book, I think you'd like it."
I'm waiting for my
Oh.
mom to come up to me and be like, have you heard of Colleen Hoover? And I'll be like,
Mhm.
unfortunately, yes. But no, my therapist actually a few weeks ago was like, she was like telling me how her daughter is like reading Akatar. And I was like, what? She's like, have you heard of this book? You like fantasy. Maybe you'd like it. I'm like, oh, I've heard of that book. I have. Thank you. And I read
I'm
it.
aware. Oh God. Yeah, crazy times. I don't mind a superficial read, but don't sell it as life-changing.
Hmm.
You said it much better than I
That is
did. That's
real.
exactly
That's
it.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is like books are so subjective that something that might be superficial and cheesy to you could actually be life-changing for someone, especially if they just started reading. And I find that like
That's
a
so
lot of book
true.
talk is full of
Yeah.
people who have like just started reading. And so maybe like their favorite books now are like for seasoned readers are like nothing great. And then maybe a few years from now they'll be like, those books were not good. But I don't know. I think it's definitely like the fact that book talk really exposes the differences in a lot of people's reading, especially when there's drama and people are arguing over whether or not a book is good. And I'm like, sometimes I just want to be like, guys, we all have different tastes. We need to get used to
Yes.
that. We need to understand that at this point.
Yes. Yes. I do. I live for the drama, but at the same time, it's like just maybe we can have separate opinions and let that be okay, you know? I think it comes from people like feeling defensive about books they like when they see people trashing on books, and that's people get a little a little defensive, which is fine. Like everyone can have their opinions, but reading is so subjective. There's not a great way. I think that Book Talk has figured out how to have those conversations without being very accusatory, and it just like spirals out of control sometimes.
For real. Oh my gosh.
It is a wild place, a very fun place. I never know. I open up TikTok and I'm like, well, what's going to happen today? Like, I never know.
That's me with Twitter. There's always something going on, and it's usually just recycled drama every time, every single time.
That's what, yeah, I know. I feel like I need to at least have a presence on Twitter so I can have the get over the FOMO of like, what am I missing? But we'll see. Do I need another app to sink hours into? No. Do I want one? Oh. Wow. I feel like we have covered so much from
we've been very efficient.
writing to books to like philosophy and social psychology, fun stuff. But this is the stuff I could talk about all day long. It's all my favorite things.
Same.
We have room for everyone, but I think people like conflict or feeling superior. That's the thing, is like feeling like, no, my taste is better than your taste because it's my taste. I don't know. The cult of personality is real.
I'm like, of course you're gonna think your taste is better when it's your taste. You're not gonna think anything is better than what you like. I don't even see the point of like going out and saying stuff like that. But people have too much time nowadays.
Yes. Yeah. That's that is the thing. Wow. Well, this was a journey. Thank you for putting up with my shitty internet and hanging out with me. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, literally anytime. Hi, Elizabeth. Bye, Elizabeth. Yeah, anytime you want to talk writing or NaNoWriMo or like writing process, anything, I am the person. Open invitation. Or, you know, TikTok philosophy and the meaning of life is also also fair game. Yes. Do you have anything upcoming on any of your channels or platforms that you want to plug before we go?
Funny you should ask. Actually, as soon as I finish this live, I'm going to film a video that will be going up on Friday on my channel. So if you guys are interested in my October wrap up and my how I got my agent and querying story, I will be going into detail there, so you can tune in. But that's it.
Amazing. Perfect. Wow, it's like on theme and everything. Yes. Love it. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me for happy hour, and thank you everyone who watched and hung out with us. It was a blast, and I will see you all the first Wednesday of December for like a little holiday season happy hour. And until then, we'll see you later.